what the black man and woman needs to know about the nation, about the world, about themselves. Muhammad Speaks It. To order your 12-issue subscription to Muhammad Speaks newspaper, 313-371-7033. 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's Teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Soul Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou smell thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teaching. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none deserve to be served, works to praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. I'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu Alaikum. We have Brother Mustafa and Sister Sharice Ali from Ohio. We have Brother Yusuf from Oklahoma. We have Brother Minister Mikhail Shabazz from Gary, Indiana, or Michael Shabazz from Gary, Indiana. Sister Miriam from Oklahoma. Sister Amaros from Iowa. Brother Minister Mutaquan Ali from Philly. We have Brother Ibrahim Muhammad from Milwaukee. We have Brother Minister Isaac from New York. We have Brother Minister Supan from Chicago. And we have Brother Mikhail Shabazz from Tucson. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. Today we like to talk about Islam and the true knowledge of God. We want to start with our favorite person. This is him on TikTok, because they own all of the social media outlets. But this particular one, he is on TikTok talking about the Son of Man is a black man. This is Bishop Nathaniel. Then they on TikTok, and they got this picture, and this is the Most High is a black man. So now they saying God is a black man. And then they quote Daniel 7 and 9. So let's go to the messenger. Because the biggest question that we want to ask everybody, if you never met God, how do you know he black? If you never met God, how do you know he a man? How? Let's go to the messenger. This comes from December 22nd, 1956, Pittsburgh Carrier, and it's called The Coming of Allah, God. The messenger says, the Bible mentions him as the Son of Man and also mentions him as not being a man but a spirit. On one side he is made clear, and on the other he is made a mystery. He says representation such as this causes confusion in understanding. We are blind to the knowledge of God when we make him a mystery and unreal. So that's the messenger. He taught us that the way that the Bible represents God it makes it confusing when it comes to understanding. Because one place they make it clear. In another place they make him a spirit. Let's give a couple examples of that. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 17. It says, now unto the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen. So this is Paul describing God. First he said, now unto the King eternal. So he's saying God is eternal. Then he said he's immortal. Then he says he's invisible. So if you never met God, you never seen him before, how would you know he a black man? How would you know he was a man at all? Because the way the Bible describes God, it makes it confusing when you're talking about understanding. So the Bible in one sense says that God is a man. In another sense, it says he's a spirit. In another sense, he says that he is invisible. Now let's go on even further with another Bible verse. This comes from 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 16. It says he only have immortality, dwelling in the light which no man can approach unto, whom no man have seen nor can see, to whom be he honor and power everlasting. Amen. So this is Paul once again. First he tells us that God is invisible. He makes that clear. Then he tells us that God dwells in a light that no man can walk up to. No man can see nor has ever seen God. So how would you know that he's a man? How would you know that those verses don't apply, but the verses that apply to men is God, if you never met him? So let's go on even further. This comes from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 27. It says, by faith he forsooketh Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. So we can go on and on and on with the verses that talk about God as being invisible. We can go on and on with the verses that says that God is a spirit. We can go on and on with the verses that says God is unseen and no man has ever seen God. So let's go on even further with the messenger. He says thousands of years, the devil has been blinding man to God's reality. And that is why, or the reason, God had to come in person, and he has, to clear us of such ignorance and blindness to the knowledge of him. All praise is due to Allah. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he didn't know that God is a man simply by reading the Bible. Because that's what Bus Stop Bishop do. And we live in the new school nation of Islam where we don't fight for Islam. We just allow him to take the messenger's interpretation of God and just use it as he wants to. Because even if we were going to use in the Bible where it talks about Daniel 7 and 9, where it talks about the Ancient of Days. Let's read the verse. How would you know if God was a man just simply by reading this? It says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. If you didn't never meet God, how would you know from that description that God was a black man? Because today we know that God is a black man because the messenger interpreted that for us. All praise is due to Allah. Because the only sign and symbol that the white man used in Daniel to talk about God being black was that woolly hair. Now let's read how the white man interpreted that before the messenger did. It says, hair of his head like pure wool. It says, signifying his vulnerableness, gravity, wisdom, and rightness of judgment, being wonderful in counsel and excellent in working. So it's just saying that just like when we see people with older people with gray hair, that represents wisdom. That's how they was going with that symbol. If you thought God was a spirit, you thought that God was unseen, you thought that God was invisible, you wouldn't argue with that interpretation. You would just believe that since God was invisible, since God is a spirit, since God can't be seen, and Daniel had this vision of gray hair, then that must mean God's wisdom. You wouldn't argue with that. But the messenger, he met God. Praise due to Allah. He saw God. He talked to him face to face. So he was the one who let us know all of that is just giving us a misunderstanding of God. He told us that God is a man. God has always been a man and always will be a man.
Yes, sir.
Now let's go on even further with the messenger. He goes on to say, he says, therefore, we have the coming of Allah. He is referred to as the Son of Man, because first, he is the Son of Man and gotten for a special purpose, which is to return the lost back to their own. Now, when we see Master Farad Muhammad, he looks nothing like what it says in Daniel 7 and 9. He looks nothing like the description of Jesus. Master Farad Muhammad did not have hair like lamb's wool. He didn't have feet like brass as if it was burned in the furnace. So how is he God? Where does the Bible describe him? Let's go on even further. The messenger says, he says, since his work is to destroy the wicked, he must remain hidden from the eyes of the world until the time is right, the end, for neither the two, God and the devil, can rule together. He says the Son of Man, or Allah, must wait until his time, after the workings of the devil. Then the messenger gives us an example of Thessalonians 2 and 8, or 2, 8 through 9, Holy Quran 7, 14 and 18. Because we want to understand about Master Farad Muhammad. Because every time people talk about God, or they try to, because they just take the teachings of the messenger and try to use his teachings against him. So all of the people who talk about God always quotes Daniel 7 and 9. Talking about God has hair like lamb's wool. But that ain't the only description that the Bible has of God. Because the messenger explained to us about Daniel 7 and 9. Daniel 7 and 9 is what is called the Ancient of Days. That's what Daniel 7 and 9 is talking about. And the messenger explained that to us. Let's see what the messenger says. This comes from the Muhammad Speaks, October 14th, 1966. It's called Muhammad Dedicates Miami Mosque to the Worship of Allah. This is the messenger. He says that we have lived under the white power for 6,000 years. After white power, what? The ruling power goes back to the original owners of heaven and earth. The creators of heaven and earth, the creators. Then they will rule, as the Bible and Holy Quran teaches us forever. The description of the ruler of the hereafter is given in Daniel. Daniel has a vision of him being an old man, gray-haired. The translator of the book calls him the Ancient of Days. He is the first and he is the old ancient ruler. To rule after white power, that is the black man. So when Daniel saw the Ancient of Days, he didn't see Master Farad Muhammad. He saw the black man.
Right.
This is what the translators of the Bible put in Daniel's prophecy. They used the Ancient of Days to describe the black man. They used his hair symbolic to give us a clue of what they were talking about. So in the Ancient of Days represents the black man. So what about Master Farad Muhammad? We building up the case. Just be patient. So let's go on even further with what the messenger taught us. This comes from the March 8th, 1974, Muhammad speaks. It says, the Bible says, on the day of judgment, you will see God as he is. This is the day that I can gladly say that he is a he. There are many people that have not known God, and there are many people that know him. The white race knows God, but they cannot represent God as you and me know. They be given away the power to rule. They were not to rule under the teachings of the reality of God. They were made to hide the reality of God in order that they themselves can be worshiped. I don't get angry with them the way that they rule and what they teach. How in the world can they teach and turn us away from God of reality? If they get the rule, they got to take us away because we've got the reality. Every time you look at the black man, you're looking at God. So that's what the Ancient of Days represents. It represents the black man. Because the messenger taught us that every time you look into the face of the black man, you looking at God. Every time. But he taught us that it's always one who is wise and most powerful. He know what we don't know.
That's right.
Daniel didn't see him. Who saw him? Yaqub saw him. All praise is due to Allah. But let's keep on chipping away. So now let's talk about how the messenger quoted in the 1956 Pittsburgh Carrier. He quotes from 2 Thessalonians 2:8, which says that God would not come until after the workings of Satan. That's when God comes. But then he represents another scripture. This comes from the Quran 7:14 and 18. Chapter 7, verse 14 through 18. This says, he said. Who is the he? He, the messenger, said is Yaqub. So this is Yaqub talking, the black scientist who is the father of the white race. He says, respite me to the day when they are raised. Then it says, he said, meaning Allah, thou art surely of the respited ones. He said, as thou hast adjudged me to be Aaron, I will certainly lie in wait for them in thy straight path. He said, then I shall certainly come upon them from before them and from behind them and from their right and from their left, and thou wilt not find most of them thankful. Then God says, get out of it, despised, driven away. Whoever of them will follow thee, I will certainly fill hell with you all.
Yes, sir.
So this talking about a different God than what Daniel saw. This God said, I will put all of you in hell. All those who follow you, I will fill hell with you all. That's different from talking about Daniel 7 and 9. Because Daniel 7 and 9 is just talking about the black man in general. The messenger told us that the black man will rule. He said, Master Farad Muhammad will rule through us. Praise is due to Allah. So in this instant, God is being hidden for 6,000 years. This is why the messenger taught us that the truth was not spoken direct. He said it was put in signs and symbols. He said this is the first time that this truth has ever been revealed. Yes. He said that this truth was not revealed for thousands of years. He said the true knowledge of God was never known by more than 12 people at a time. He said the knowledge was passed on from father to son. And he said for trillions of years, the wisest of scientists have searched for who is that mystery God for trillions of years and was unable to find one. So the messenger taught us that we should be happy to be the first among the people to get this secret knowledge of God. Yes, sir. So let's go on with the messenger. He says the Son of Man, Allah, must wait until his time after the workings of the devil. 2 Thessalonians 2:8-9, Holy Quran 7:14-18. And in another place, the Holy Quran describes them as the people with blue eyes. Holy Quran chapter 20 verse 102. He says the reality of God is as clear as the reality of the devil. But we did not know it until his coming to judge the world. So the messenger making it plain. We didn't know the reality of God until he came. Right. Because the reason why we didn't know is because God made an agreement with the devil. The devil said, respite me or hide me to the day they are raised. Praise due to Allah. The day they are raised is the resurrection. So Yaqub, the wise black scientist, was talking to God. And he asked God to keep me hidden. Don't let nobody know who I am until they are raised. So God said, okay, I'll keep you hidden. Then Yaqub said to Yah, since you judged me Aaron, he said, I would cause all of them to deviate. I will sit and wait for them on thy straight path. Now, what does that mean? Because the messenger taught us there are several different meanings to that verse. He said one meaning is the white man. The white man lays on the straight path waiting for the black man. But the messenger also taught us that talks about hypocrites and disbelievers. Because the messenger said there are many Muslims who turn hypocrite. He said once they turn hypocrite, he said they won't leave. He said they try to turn as many people away as they can. That's right. So you have Bus Stop Bishop Nathan. He one of those ones who waiting on the straight path. He heard the teachings of the messenger. The straight path is the messenger's teachings. Yeah. Because the messenger told us in Malachi. He said, it says, behold, I will send you Elijah. It says, and he will open the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers. That's right. That's one person. Mm-hmm. It's only one person who knows the secret knowledge of God. And that one person knows the secret knowledge of God, not because he read the Bible, not because he read the Holy Quran, but that one person was taught by God himself. That's right. That one person is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So once you get this truth, then you don't want to accept the messenger. So you take the messenger's teachings and you add it to your stuff. What do you become? Laying in wait on the straight path. Laying for all them people who hear the truth, but you mix lies in with the truth. So you stand on the straight path. Because the black man today know that God is black. We know Jesus black. The messenger already taught us that. That's right. So what Fakes like bus stopping this hypocrite Louis Udine do, they stand and wait on the straight path. All those that hear the truth, but they add their lies to it to get you off of the straight path. That's why in our prayer, we ask Allah, guide me on the straight path.
Yes, sir.
We say, don't let us turn away like those who turned away after they've heard thy teachings. Because they lay in wait for all the ignorant ones, all the ones who have a sincere desire to hear the truth. Then they lay in wait. Say the Son of Man is a black man. This is what the messenger taught. But he taught us this because he was taught by God in person. So since Daniel didn't see God or Master Farad Muhammad, who saw Master Farad Muhammad? Messenger taught us Yaqub saw Master Farad Muhammad. He taught us that the book of Revelations was written by Yaqub.
That's right.
Yaqub is the one who saw the white man's beginning and the white man's end.
Yes.
Messenger said we knew what the white man was going to do before he was ever made.
Yes, sir.
What's that talking about? That's talking about Yaqub. Messenger told us that Yaqub was on the island of Pilan when he got the revelation. He said Yaqub saw Master Farad Muhammad. Let's talk about it. This comes from the book called Birth of a Savior. This is the messenger. He's talking about that wonder in heaven. This is what Yaqub saw. Yaqub saw a wonder in heaven. What does that mean? This is the messenger. He says the wonder that this woman is in heaven is not actually a woman of heaven. That's number one. The messenger says this woman, I say, was not originally a member of the heavenly family. This woman was one that was not of the people of heaven, but yet to bear the child. You, every one of you that I see sitting here before me, you are people of heaven. That's what Daniel saw. When you read in Daniel 7 and 9, Daniel saw the black man. He saw the black man with woolly hair. That's what Daniel saw. So he said he saw the man with woolly hair. This is Daniel 7 and 9. He saw the black man, the people of heaven. But who did Yaqub see? Because Yaqub said he saw a wonder in heaven. He saw something in heaven that wasn't supposed to be in heaven. He saw one in heaven that wasn't born in heaven. So Yaqub said, there is a wonder in heaven. Let's go on even further. So the messenger says, he says, you originally came from heaven. But this woman did not come from heaven. She was not even born in heaven. Her parents was not of the heavenly parents. Not that woman. But yet, she's seen in heaven and is clothed with the sun. She's not the sun herself, but is clothed with the sun. She's not the stars herself, but she has them upon her head. She didn't put the moon at her feet, but yet the moon is at her feet. Because she's clothed with the sun, therefore, the sun and the moon can't be equal. The moon is always under the sun. All praise is due to Allah. This is a child that is being prepared in heaven to be sent out of heaven to a people that had once been a member of the heavenly family. To bring that people back to heaven, he must have a body from a woman that is not of heaven, but of the people that he's going among to get that people that originally belonged to heaven. I hope that you will have patience. I can't tell you this. I can't tell you this just so. That's the message. Praise due to Allah. He told us that Master Farad Muhammad's mother was a white woman. That's what he taught us. The all-wise, true and living God. His mother was a white woman. And that's why Yaqub looking like, yo, what's going on in heaven? It's a white woman and it's a devil in heaven. Praise is due to Allah. That's a wonder. So Yaqub say it's a wonder in heaven. This devil woman got the sun clothed. She clothed in the sun. She got stars on. This is a wonder for a devil. So the messenger says, he said that Master Farad Muhammad's father knew that he would not be successful in a solid white country as a solid black man. Right. That's what he taught. Yes, sir. So when you got all of these bus stop Bible babblers who don't know what they talking about God is a black, how you know God is a black man? Right. God, you never saw God. How do you know that in the Bible when it talks about God is invisible? How you don't know that that's talking about God? How do you know these descriptions of men? Because every time when you read the white man's interpretation, they always said that God can manifest himself in anything. God can manifest himself in a tree. God can manifest himself in a bird. God can manifest himself through water. He can manifest himself through human beings. So every time the Bible talks about a man, the white man would interpret that to say God can manifest himself in anything because he's an invisible spirit. He lives within you. So he can live within a bear. He can live within a bird. He can live within anything if he's an immaterial nothing. So the messenger told us that in the Bible, it talks about Moses. It said Moses spoke to God face to face, right, like a man speaketh unto his friend. But the white man, being the devil, he also puts that God spoke through a burning bush. That's to make us get back spooky. Right. Because the burning bush overpowers all that face to face like a man speaketh unto his friend. How many people speak to your friends through a burning bush? So the messenger taught us that that burning bush, it only represents the anger of Allah. That's right. Praise due to Allah. So that's what God came and he was angry. So a poet say, instead of me focusing on God speaking to this man face to face like a man speaking, I focus on the anger of God. And I say he spoke to him through a burning bush. That's what you call symbolic language. That's right. So the messenger said for 6,000 years, all of the prophets predicted the coming of the Son of Man. He said, but they couldn't say it direct. So it always was in a sign, a symbol, or a parable. So the messenger said that when God came, he was going to raise up Elijah. Messenger said, I am Elijah. He is the one who spoke to God face to face. And when he spoke to God face to face, God is the one who revealed to the messenger that God is a man. Yes, sir. Not only did he reveal to the messenger that God is a man, he said God is a black man. That's right. He said black is the first color. Black is original. Black is the best color for a human being. Praise to Allah. This everything that Master Farad Muhammad taught us. Master Farad Muhammad looks like a white Arab. That's what he looked like. But he looked like a white man. He got straight hair. He got light skin. But he told us that black is the best. Yeah. Black is the original. Yeah. He said it's the black baby. It ain't the devil. It's the black man. Mm-hmm. He told us that we will be the future rulers. Messenger said that Master Farad Muhammad is the wisest of them all. That's what we got to know. Because we live in the time of these hypocrites and these disbelievers. Yes. Because the hypocrite, they always want to start talking about Master Farad Muhammad being born February 26, 1877. Then they try to say that since Master Farad Muhammad was born February 26, 1877, they say he couldn't have been the originator. That's these snakes. Because Master Farad Muhammad is in fact the originator.
Yes, sir.
Praise to Allah. The black man is the originator.
That's right.
The messenger said that Master Farad Muhammad has the same infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change.
Yes, sir.
That's what he said. That's why he said that Master Farad Muhammad is the wisest of them all. Messenger told us about the first God. He said he created himself in the triple darkness of the universe. But it took trillions of years to produce a brain. So that first God did not even have a brain. He wasn't wiser than Master Farad Muhammad. Then the messenger said some time went on. Trillions of years. Then they created a sun. Then the moon was created. Then stars. But it was God after God after God that created that. But Master Farad Muhammad has that same infinite wisdom
Yes, sir.
to bring about a complete change. So we don't get hung up on that February 26, 1877. Master Farad Muhammad is the true and living God.
Yes, sir.
He is the divine supreme being.
Yes, sir.
He is the God that is the wisest of them all. Praise to Allah. So let's go on with this black God stuff. Because I always like to talk about the history. This is the April 6, 1967. This comes from the Carrier Post newspaper. At the top of the headline, it says, as seen by the Nation of Islam. It says, God is black, devils are white. Because the thing about Bus Stop Bishop and all the rest of these fakes, if you really knew, because the thing that everybody should do, you should go to the 50s and the 60s when this truth first was getting into the ears of the black man and the white man. Because in 1959, when the Hate That Hate Produced came out, they didn't know nothing about the messenger. Because the messenger was doing, as they say, building underground.
That's right.
He had a whole nation of black people and the white man didn't even know who he was. The messenger had department stores. The messenger had supermarkets. The messenger had schools. The messenger was in the prisons. He was in every black city in the country.
Yes.
So the white man, when they first got word of the messenger, was shook. So whenever they would talk about the messenger, it would put on the front page, God is black. In the 1950s, that was something crazy to say. First of all, we believe God is a spirit. We believe God is invisible. We believe no man can even see God. Then you got Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, telling us that God is a black man. Telling us not only is God not a spirit, God is a man. Not only is God, but God is a black man.
Yes, sir.
That was crazy to the average black person.
Right.
They didn't want to hear nothing about God not being a spirit, but then on top of that, you saying God a nigga. That's what black mean. God is a nigga. I'm telling you. Read some of these articles. The black man was not accepting that like we accept it today.
That's right.
That's why the black man or the white man put God is black. Look at this nigga talking about God is a nigga like you.
Right.
You segregated. You can't even drink at the white man's water fountain. But this nigga talking about God is a nigga like you. Look at him. God is black and the devil is white. Oh, praise is due to Allah. Everything you get come from the white man. But he telling you that the white man is the devil. This the white man. He says the God of the black Muslims is black. He says the black Muslims hates the white man. He sees him as a white devil or the guilty blue-eyed. The black Muslim's God is black because he considers himself to be of the Nation of Islam, the majority of whose members are in Africa and Asia. This was in the April 6, 1967 Carrier Post. Now let's go on even further than that. This comes from C. Eric Lincoln, because I'm getting to my favorite part. I gotta talk about the fighting stuff. But I'm gonna first, give some other stuff too. This comes from C. Eric Lincoln. Because when C. Eric Lincoln came out with Black Muslims in America, the white man wanted that book more than the black man could dream of. But see, we don't have time to read all the articles. But this is one article. This comes from the Daily World, November 20th, 1961. It's called Negro Muslims Worry on Race in United States. This is Dr. C. Eric Lincoln, author of Black Muslims in America, addressed a mixed audience at the closing session of the fall meeting of the Arkansas Council of Human Relations. He says the cult preaches Negro supremacy, strict segregation, and rejects Christianity as a tool of the white man. For a religion, Muslims embrace Islam, but they worship a black God. This was long before Bus Stop Bishop Nathaniel. Because Bus Stop Bishop Nathaniel get away with this. Because Lewis is a hypocrite.
Yes.
Read due to Allah. Messengers say you cannot be successful with hypocrites on the panel. But let's go on even further. This one is one of my favorites, but we ain't gonna have time to really get in it. This comes from the January 2nd, 1963 Tennessean newspaper. This is when they put in Tennessee a white preacher against a Muslim. This brother was 24 years old as a Muslim down in Tennessee in 1963. The title of his article, or the Christian Preachers, is Christianity is Difference in Push for Negro Rights. Then we have, under the brothers, it said, white man is devil born, black Muslims say here. It says in a dimly lit 2-story brick building, which Nashville black Muslims call a mosque, a young Negro minister urges his small band of followers to find a black God for black people. Then he goes on to say, it says the Muslims practice the religion of Islam and believe that Allah, a black God for black people, is the one and only God. Then you go in the same Tennessean in 1972. This comes out July 9th, 1972. Still black God, black world, retribution. Still the Muslim, the only one teaching about a black God. Documented facts. Yes, it goes on to say, it says black Muslims believe the white man is the devil, God is black, and that they will someday inherit the earth. The Muslim movement here is no different. For the past 10 years, they have been building towards the day when they will be self-independent, self-knowing, and self-doing. So every time they talk about the Muslims and their God, they say the Muslims believe. They don't say black people believe. Right. They say the Muslims believe. The Muslims got a black God. Now this is my favorite black God article. This is one of my favorite black God articles. I forgot to put the date on this, but I'm going to start with what the messenger said about this incident that happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Because the first time I read this in the Jet magazine. It's called Police Probe Killings in Baton Rouge. Now, when I first read this, I knew that Farrakhan was a hypocrite by this time.
But I still didn't think that he was changing everything about what the messenger taught. Because first, every Muslim in this generation who never saw the message, at one time in your life, you thought Farrakhan was legit to some degree. Then, thankfully, because of Allah, you run into people who say he a hypocrite. Right. It take a little time for you to totally digest that. Right. Then once you accept he a hypocrite, you still think, or you assume he's still kind of following the teachings of the message. Right. So when I first read this with all this old my black brother stuff with him, and this we don't fight nobody, I thought these brothers was way out of order when I first read this. But then years later, I read what the messenger said. This is what the messenger said. He said, we the Muslims have nothing to do with what happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He says, I do not know the black brothers who had this fight with our enemy. But I love all my black people. And my mission is to try to save my black people. I do not want to see my black people destroyed. He says, I did not know of this trouble between these black brothers and our enemies. But I can say with all my heart that I love my black brothers, regardless to where they are. He said they were only fighting with those who were fighting with them. And that is the law of nature. That started the turning point in my belief in what the messenger really was compared to what everybody say he is. He didn't even trip. This what Muslims used to do with him. They would take it upon themselves to just go fight the police. And the messenger didn't even trip. Hey, I don't teach him to do that. He said, but hey, I still love my black brothers. The messenger was impressed, like, hey, we ain't tell them to do it, but hey, look at what they did though. I love my black brothers. He said all they was doing was fighting with those who was fighting with them. That's right. So if the messenger didn't care nothing about that, what you think he would say? Let's just speak hypothetically. You and some brothers. We had as many brothers as that hypocrite Louis Farrakhan guy. We just say, let's go down there with them Israelites. Just so happen we get into a fight. We hear them talking about the messenger and we decide we fight. What you think that if the messenger didn't care about this, why would he get mad at us for that? He wouldn't care. Let's read now what them brothers was doing. This is a long article. So I just pulled out a few things to read about. This comes from the January 16, 1972. This is called The Times. It says, shootout. Officials still looking for the answers. This under the subtitle that says, like a battlefield. Mind you, these was unarmed Muslims. Keep that in mind. So it says, it looked like a battlefield with bodies everywhere, said Newsman Crouch. One of the Muslims charged in the police line, he was chanting. They hit him with everything they had. They shot him in the leg. They hit him with billy clubs and gun butts. But he kept coming. These was Muslims with the message. Yes, sir. They just took it apart. Let's go see what it do with these police. They go unarmed to fight armed police. Yes, that's what I want everybody to know. Yes. That hypocrite Louis Eugene is a hypocrite. That's right. The messenger said you cannot be successful with hypocrites on the panel. This hypocrite will sit back and listen to bus stop bishop disrespect the messenger and he don't do nothing. Wouldn't have happened with the messenger. So let's read that part one more time. Because this don't come from the Muhammad speaks. This come from eyewitnesses. This is what it said. It says it looked like a battlefield with bodies everywhere, said Newsman Crouch. One of the Muslims charged into the police line. He was chanting. They hit him with everything they had. They shot him in the leg. They hit him with billy clubs and gun butts. But he kept coming. He said several other Muslims or several other witnesses also reported that the Muslims broke into a chant when the fight broke out. To Blyden, it sounded like they were saying, "Cop lock." Granger said the Muslims were speaking to their black God. Allahu Akbar. Them was Muslims with the message. Then just take it upon yourself to just go fight some devils. Armed devils. We ain't got no guns. We just got our black God.
That's right.
That was Muslims with the message. But the messenger said, you can't be successful with hypocrites on the path. This why Bus Stop Bishop get away with the talk that he talked. But let's keep going with the art. It goes on to say, it says in the interview, the eyewitnesses said he saw the city police officer, who was believed to have been Hoover, talking to one of the alleged Muslims. Suddenly the man said, the black man hit the officer with what looked like a karate chop. Them was Muslims with the message.
Yes, sir.
They ain't got no guns. They take it upon their own self to say, let's just go fight the police. We might die. All we got is Allah. The messenger said, call her. Let's go just call on Allah and just go fight the police. So what you think they would have done if they seen Bus Stop Bishop making a mockery of our God?
Yes, sir.
They would take it upon themselves
Yes.
to snatch Bus Stop Bishop off any stage he was at. Muslims would go to his meeting, sit in the front row, wait till he get done. Or if they decide, let's just snatch him off of while he talking. The messenger would be proud. If you think I'm lying, go read these articles. That's why I bring them in. But let's keep going. It says police recovered no guns at the scene other than weapons either dropped by or taken from police. These was Muslims with the message. Brothers karate chop. The white man ain't find no guns, but the guns the white man dropped or was taken by the Muslims. Let's go on even further than that. This is more witnesses. It says blacks who are at the scene contend the alleged group of Muslims were unarmed and fought the police only with their fists. This is what the black man saw when they saw Muslims. They didn't see no chicken-hearted, punk, coward Muslims that you see with this hypocrite Louis Eugene.
Yes, sir.
They ain't nothing but a bunch of punk, coward Muslims. When the black man saw the Muslims with the message, they seen Muslims who want to see what it do.
Yes, sir.
If you were talking about the messenger, we just gonna see what it do. This is why you would see the messenger. He would always have to tell brothers, we are never the aggressor.
Yes.
That's what when the last time you heard this hypocrite Louis Eugene talking about we never the aggressor? When was when the messenger was around. All we had to hear the news was newspapers, radio, TV. But you can pick up the New York Times. See brothers that fought the NYPD. They dragging this devil with his gun away from the brothers. You can pick up the Jet magazine. See brothers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can pick up the Muhammad Speaks and see brothers from Atlanta fighting police.
Yes, sir.
This was the message.
Yes, sir.
But when was the last time you heard some Muslims fighting for the cause with this hypocrite? When was the last time you heard a head got whooped for the cause? Messenger used to write articles say, fighting is good for you.
That's right.
If you but knew, he would have that on the front page of the Muhammad Speaks. So when Bus Stop Bishop people used to see the Muslims, they knew if they would do what they doing today, they had a fight on their hands. And the thing about the messenger and the Muslims, we ain't just getting into no fight with you about the messenger. Messenger say we put a stop to it. It ain't about to be just no, oh, we fighting and then no. We better not never see you again saying nothing about the messenger. Because in this article, you see the messenger had people who were willing to take one for the team.
That's right.
And the messenger wasn't mad at him. He let it be known, I don't teach my followers to do that. I don't want you to get it confused. I don't teach them to do that. But ain't nothing wrong with fighting. Fighting is the law of nature.
Yes.
The white man is our enemy.
That's right.
White man is our enemy. Ain't nothing wrong with fighting the devil.
That's right.
The messengers have said treat everybody right, even the devil. If the devil right, he right. But when he wrong, he wrong. That goes for the black man too.
That's right.
The messenger said the black man is our black brother. He said do all you can to not have to fight your brother. But he said fight with those who fight with you. That's what the messenger taught. So old Bus Stop Bishop, only reason why he can get away with this is because Louis Farrakhan is a hypocrite.
Yes, sir.
When you go Google them brothers with that hypocrite, only time you see them fight in the 80s, early 90s, they had a big contract to secure Cabrini Green and other projects in Chicago, I believe it was Washington, D.C., all of these projects. So the only time you saw them do with that hypocrite fighting was to commercialize on FOI security.
Right.
Or you saw them doing security for Snoop Dogg, doing security for Aaliyah. You can even Google them doing security for Madonna. So it ain't nothing wrong with fighting your black brother. If you going to Cabrini Green and you fighting for some contract, it ain't nothing wrong with you fighting your brother. If you with Snoop Dogg and they got the East Coast, West Coast war, and you fight your brother for that. But lo and behold, don't fight your black brother when it come to Bus Stop Bishop. Don't fight them. When you see them, just keep on walking. Not with the messenger. That's why I don't want no brother to ever come here and think Islam ain't about fighting.
Yes, sir.
It's only a few of us. And we do what we can, but we wish we could do more.
Yes, sir.
We wish we could do more. We wish we could be a greater example of the messenger. Yes. We wish we could put some examples of us fighting in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Yes. Fighting for the cause.
Yes, sir.
Because the messenger taught us fighting ain't just physical. Fighting is verbal too. Mm-hmm. Messenger said in my conclusion, he told the captains in the laborers meeting, he said, brother captain, you tell us you will fight to defend the temple to the last drop of blood. He said, but we don't see you saying nothing when the temple is being scandalized. Mm-hmm. How we supposed to believe you gonna fight to the last drop of blood?
Right.
The messenger was nothing like this hypocrite. The messenger taught us everything is real.
Yes.
God is real. Islam is real. Our belief is real.
Yes.
He said a belief not carried into practice is good for nothing.
That's right.
Messenger said my prayer, my sacrifice, my life and my death is all for Allah. So if you see bus stop bishop, and especially if you got manpower, my sacrifice, my life, and my death is all for Allah.
Yes, sir.
If he disrespecting Allah, he disrespecting the messenger. If he disrespect the messenger, he disrespecting all Muslims. That's what you need to know.
Yes.
You need to look at every minister. All these ministers be talking about, and I don't mean no disrespect, but I'm just saying, we got a lot of brothers that say they want unity. That's what Muslims always talk about. How I'm expect you to speak up for me when you don't speak up for the messenger.
Right.
The messenger being dogged out. I see you a minister. I see you been a minister for years, but I ain't seen one YouTube video with you saying nothing. I don't see a Facebook post. I don't see an Instagram post. I don't see nothing from you. But you gonna tell me you want unity. No, you don't want no unity with me. Because the same way you stand idly by with the message, you will do the same when it comes to me. That's what every believer needs to know about the teachings.
Yes.
The same way they teach the teachings and the messenger, the same way they'll teach you. If they nonchalant about the message, they gonna be nonchalant about you. If they won't defend the message, they won't defend you.
Yes, sir.
It just ain't came up yet. Ain't no hard trial came up yet to test your friendship with these weak, punk, coward Muslims. But the messenger taught us. He said everything is real. God is real. Islam is real. Our faith is real. Our love for our brother is real. He said we fight together and we die together.
Yes, sir.
Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I leave you as I came in the nation of Islam, greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, soul masters, dear judgment in which we now live. The alone that we serve and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served worth of praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves, and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.